Heading east in search of hurricanes. Another defensive pair deep dive. And what does the sea like really mean? The C on the sweater. What does it really mean? Does it transfer easily? We'll dig into that. Welcome. Just come on in to the Blackhawks Daily. I'm your host, PJ Benoit. This is your home for the real daily story on the Chicago Blackhawks. There's no fuss, there's no muss. We're just a fan, me, here, hanging out with his Hawks homies. That's all of you people. And of course, we're going to talk a little general smack about our opponents. But, if you're new here, please hit the subscribe button. We're at 740. We would love to have you along as we're building this fan-frickin-tastic community of 1,000. It would be great to be over 1,000, but that's the goal for right now. On today's docket for the show, we got a showdown out east tonight with Carolina. Then we're going to do a deep dive on Levshunov-Kaiser pairing. We did Vlasic-Crevier yesterday. And then we're going to be talking about what Bedard can learn from Taves regarding the captaincy. And of course, capping it off with your awesome comments as per usual. So let's talk about the Hurricanes. We got a big test coming up tonight as the Blackhawks head to Raleigh to take on the Carolina Hurricanes. This is the kind of game that shows you exactly where you are as a team. So let's break it down into what we're walking into, because we are walking into quite a situation. So let's start with the reality check. The Blackhawks are 20, 22, and 7 at 47 points. We're sitting 6th in the Central. We're 6 points out of a playoff spot with 2 games under 500. We've been better lately. We're 6th and 4 in our last 10, and we're coming off of that gorgeous 2-0 shutout over Winnipeg on Monday night with Spencer. Good old Spencer Knight just basically standing on his head. And now the Hurricanes, it's a completely different animal. They are 31, 15, and 4 at 66 points, sitting first in the very tough Metropolitan Division. They're riding a 3-game winning streak, and they are 7-2-1 in their last 10 games. They're scoring 3.38 goals per game, 4th in the NHL, and allowing just 2.86 goals per game, which has them ranked 9th. This is a team that's built to win now, and they're rolling. So what are the 3 things to watch? Can Spencer Knight keep it going? Knight has been outstanding lately. His record in the last 4 games is even, right? 2-2. But those 2 wins have been shutouts against Nashville and Winnipeg. He's got a .913 save percentage and a 2.53 goals against on the season. Against a Hurricane team that's averaging nearly 32 shots a game, that's their average. I would love for us to be up at that average. Knight is going to need to be sharp again if he's the one called to be in there. If he can steal this one, it's a massive confidence boost for this team, because we tend to play really well against really great teams. And then for some reason, at least earlier in the season, we would just play down to whoever we're playing against. Sabres, I'm calling that one out. Anyway, number 2 thing to look at, Bedard versus the Canes' depth. Connor Bedard has been electric, 20 goals, 27 assists, 47 points, and 36 games. But Carolina's got a bunch of players. Aho, Svechnikov, Ehlers, and Jarvis. This isn't a one-line team. The Hawks are going to need Bertuzzi. Nazar's coming back, which is great. Burakovsky's coming back, which is great for the game. So we're going to need everyone to be the supporting cast and step on up, because Carolina can roll 4 full lines at us, right? And then the special teams battle. The Hawks' penalty kill has been elite, 84.6%, which ranks 2nd in the entire NHL. It's going to be tested against Carolina's power play, which is clicking at 21.9%. On the flip side, the Hawks' power play is at 21.6%. So, we're hanging with them in that stance. If we can stay out of the box, capitalize on our chances, we've got a shot to hang around on this one. So, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. This is a tough matchup. Carolina's rolling. They're at home. They've got the firepower to put up goals in bunches. But the Hawks have shown that they can compete when Knight is on, and if Bedard and Bertuzzi can generate offense, we've got a puncher's chance, right? So most people have, pretty much everyone's got the Hurricanes winning this one. But I think, why? Well, because they got depth. They got the depth. They got home ice advantage. But I think the Hawks can make it absolutely competitive. I think we can get, if Knight shows up like he has on the winning games, we can steal this one easily. Well, not easily, but we can steal it. I'm going to say 2-1 Hawks. That's what I'm going to say. And I want to hear your predictions, but I also want to hear your prediction about who you think is going to be the first stud of the game. If I'm calling 2-1, I'm going to say it's Knight, right? He's going to have to really work to keep us in it, to keep that offense honest. So I'm saying Spencer Knight's going to be our stud. I would love to hear what you guys think. Even if the Hawks don't get the win, they will though. Forget that. I was going to say something, if they don't get the win, Knight will keep us in it. Forget it. Knight's going to win it for us. We're going to win. And that's that. So there you have it. Blackhawks versus Hurricanes tonight, 7 p.m. Eastern on ESPN Plus. So if you have ESPN Plus, you can actually watch it. Woohoo! One of the rare ones that we can watch pretty easily. It's a measuring stick game, as they all seem to be right now. So definitely want to watch to see how this young team responds to a legitimate Stanley Cup contender. So let me know, guys. Are we going to pull off the upset, or does Carolina just keep on rolling? It would be great to hear your comments on that. All right, moving on from there. Two people that are going to really work hard to keep us in tonight's game: the Artie Party and Wyatt Kaiser, right? So let's shift gears to the back end, because if you've been watching the Hawks lately, you've noticed two names that have been becoming absolutely inseparable. That's Artem Levshunov and Wyatt Kaiser. It's a fascinating look into the lab of Jeff Blashill, and a huge shout out to Scott Powers over at The Athletic for breaking down the numbers on this pairing. Since the Hawks went back to a traditional 6 defenseman lineup in December, these two have been glued at the hip. We're talking over 175 minutes on 5-on-5 ice time together in the last 19 games. Only Vlasic and Crevier, who we talked about yesterday, have played more as a duo. And get this, since September 10th, Levshunov is actually leading the entire team in average ice time at 23 minutes and 37 seconds. He's a 20-year-old rookie that's eating more minutes than anyone else on the roster. Kaiser isn't far behind as well, sitting 4th on the team. Now, is that perfect? Absolutely not. And Levshunov is the first to admit it. He told The Athletic that while they're doing their best, mistakes are going to happen. But here's the why behind the pairing. Blashill isn't necessarily putting them together because they give the Hawks the absolute best chance to win tonight. He's doing it because they complement each other's potential for the next 10 years. We've seen flashes of brilliance. Against Vegas earlier this month, they were dominant, a 10-3 scoring chance advantage when they were on the ice. Against Edmonton, they held their own against Draisaitl's line and actually outscored the Oilers 1-0 during their shifts. But then you have the valleys. Against Boston last Saturday, it was rough. The Bruins had a 13-2 advantage in scoring chances when they were out there. And Blashill's take on it is really kind of interesting. He wants Artie to attack and use that elite skating, but he's preaching balance. You can't give up easy goals when you're hunting for offense. Something to keep in mind for sure. And that's where Kaiser comes in. He's playing the big brother role at 23, trying to find his own balance between jumping into the play. He's got 4 goals since mid-December, and being the safety net when Artie goes full chaotic mode. Kaiser actually described their style as free-flowing and chaotic, which is kind of cool, and said that the goal is to figure out how to play that way so it helps them win rather than lose. It's a work in progress, but Monday's 2-0 win over Winnipeg was a great sign. They were in sync, Artie was jumping into the rush, and also getting back in time, and Kaiser was reading those movements perfectly, being a fantastic partner for that, right? The Hawks Stanley Cup history was built on having 4 or 5 defensemen who could all play. If Levshunov and Kaiser can turn this Artie Party into a consistent top pairing reality, the rebuild just took a massive step forward. It's all about lowering those valleys and staying at the peaks. So, what are your guys' thoughts on these two youngins? Love to hear it in the comments. They've been pretty solid, right? So, love to hear what you got to say. Moving on from there, let's talk about responsibility, the gravity of responsibility. So let's talk about something that feels less like a maybe Sunday conversation and more like a win conversation right now. Connor Bedard wearing the C. And honestly, you can picture it pretty much happening as early as next season. Quick one-sentence shout-out before we start out. Topic comes straight from Mark Lazarus and Scott Powers over at The Athletic. Laid out a really strong comparison between Bedard's current reality and Jonathan Toews' early captaincy. Because here's the thing, when the fine Mr. Savard handed Jonathan Toews the captaincy in the summer of 2008, it was wild. Not because Toews didn't deserve it, but because of what it meant. The dude had one season of pro hockey, only 64 NHL games, and he's 20 years old. And suddenly the organization basically says, congrats, fix 50 years of frustration, bring this franchise back to life. That's not that's not just pressure. That's weight. It's heavy, right? And Toews even admitted he didn't feel fully ready. He was anxious about it. He's at the team convention that weekend, basically making the rounds, checking in, making sure the vets were cool with it. But at that moment, the Hawks weren't what they would become yet. Toews wasn't a household name in any way that he later became. The expectations weren't nuclear. Now fast forward to Bedard, and this is where the comparison flips. When Bedard gets to see, and again, I'm saying when, it won't be the same situation as Toews stepping into a team that wasn't quite a headline machine yet. The Blackhawks are huge in Chicago. Bedard is famous, right? He's got players from the Bears and players from the Cubs wearing his jersey. The expectations are already sky high. And the biggest point from the article to me was this. Bedard's been carrying the burden for basically his entire hockey life. Junior, draft spotlight, and the save the franchise talk, all of it. Toews even said that himself before the Hawks win the other night. He basically admitted, I can't compare what I went through to what Bedard has dealt with since juniors. And that's a pretty heavy statement coming from a guy who became the definition of NHL captain. Now, the players always want to compare Bedard to Kane. And yeah, the skill elements are there, but the creativity, the shot, the flair. But Bedard's role inside the organization is more way Toews-like. And from his very first camp, he's been setting the tone. Work ethic, seriousness, the way he approaches the game. His teammates have basically been calling him our best player since day one. And you've seen it on the ice too. Sometimes they almost defer to him too much, trying to force plays through him because he's the one guy who can create something out of nothing. But then here's where Bedard can learn from Toews. You don't have to change who you are to be captain. Bedard even said it. He's not the loudest guy in the room. He leads by example. He'll talk when it's needed, but he's not going to fake being Mr. Speech guy. Toews was similar, authentic, intense, demanding. And that's how he earned respect. I mean, his nickname was Captain Serious, for God's sakes. What Toews did learn over time, and this is important, is the people side, the diplomacy, reading the room, knowing when a teammate needs a push versus when they need support. Toews had help with that from guys like Seabrook, Keith, Sharp, those emotional heartbeat leaders. And the point here is Bedard doesn't have to do it alone either. In his current locker room, leadership looks more like a committee. And then you can already picture certain guys growing into that supporting cast, guys who can help carry the culture while Bedard carries the on-ice identity. And then you've got Nick Foligno, who's basically the perfect bridge in this whole transition. Different style than Toews, more outgoing, more vocal, big brother energy, but just as invested. Foligno even called the captaincy a gift and a curse. He said something that I love, actually. You don't really know what it is until you're in it. And it's not about saying, I'm ready. It's about asking, do you have it in you? Toews didn't know at 20, but his teammates did. And that's the theme here. When Bedard gets to see, it's not going to just magically make him a leader. It's going to formalize what everyone already knows, that this is his team, his franchise, his future. It all is tied together. And Bedard said it best, the letter is an honor, but it's not going to change who he is. So, wise kid. And I'm absolutely going to love seeing him be captain and leading this team for a while to come. It's going to be great. And now, let's get to the comments. You guys are always awesome. We had a lot of comments today, so I'm going to try to get through them all. Hockey Bob 24, repeat offender. I would love to see these guys in the playoffs, primarily the Blackhawks, but Celebrini too. That would be pretty cool. Celebrini is a fantastic player. It would be great to have everyone have access to be able to watch him on TV. That would be wonderful. Skip Johnson, 7255, is a repeat offender. AJ Spellacy is the gritty winger the Hawks need. Very true. And Spellacy is working his way up. So, yeah, he's in the mix for sure. Thank you for that, Skip. Johnny Half, 6558, repeat offender, says, PJ, thank you there. I'll take all the accolades. Thank you very much, Johnny. Really appreciate that, sir. Bill Osborne, 5070, also a repeat offender. This road trip is going to make the decisions more obvious if it's successful. It'll make it tougher to trade Dickey or Murphy. Love both those guys. Give them 1-year deals, and I'll be okay with that. Yeah, this road trip is going to be interesting. Also, the schedule is coming up, not an easy one, so it's going to separate the wheat from the chaff for sure. Thank you, Bill. Really appreciate that. Swoop, 187 OG 187, a repeat offender, doesn't comment all the time, but when he comments, he's got a lot to say. And normally, it's always really, really good. So here's Swoop saying, the real question is, if the Hawks are still in the playoff hunt, come the trade deadline, do they make a run for the playoffs, or do they pack it in and trade away assets like Connor Murphy? Because the experience a playoff push could add to this team moving forward is invaluable, and that alone would be worth more than anything the Hawks would get for Murphy or other players, etc. Look at what the Hawks accomplished in 2008, 2009. They made it to the Western Conference Finals and then won the Cup the next season. Now, I'm not even suggesting that the Hawks will be Cup-bound next season. However, that 08-09 playoff run was the springboard for their success in the 2010s. And look, if I were Davidson, I would think long and hard about making a playoff run. I think that that would be the right decision. Let the kids play, see what they can do. Will they win? Probably not. Will they make a deep run? Probably not. But it will make them thirsty for the playoffs and give them that crucial competitive experience that they need to win in the future. That's really good, Swoop. That really makes me think, and I think it makes everyone on the channel think. And I think you're right. I really do. I think you're right. Why not? Why not make it for a playoff push? Murphy and Dickinson and the other players we've been talking about, 1-year deal wouldn't kill us. As long as all the young kids get a chance to play really well, get to play some quality time, I'm down for that, right? Just like you're saying, get them the experience because it will be invaluable for the rest of the rebuild and the launching pad for the rest of the future. So I get that. Thank you very much, Swoop. Great point. Lester 701, the repeat offender extraordinaire, Mr. Commander. Hey, PJ and the Blackhawks homies. Stay warm, be cool. Well, that's really easy to do with this weather. Have a great day, all. Hawks need to do some selling at the trade deadline, but not much. We do not need a number 1 pick with all the talent down the farm. Go Bulls. And he says 7-4 Blackhawks. All right, well, that's a big number there. Thank you very much, Lester. Always appreciate you as always. Brian Ringstrand, 5971. This is a new commenter. This is probably the last year that they think they'll be in this position to trade for futures. So yes, they should sell on Murphy, Dickinson, Mikheyev, and Grizz. I don't think there's much interest in Foligno unless he asks to be dealt, which I doubt given his daughter's recent surgery. Very true. If I was KD, though, I'd be more inclined to use my last 2 retention slots to trade Burakovsky and Tavo. Both are signed only through next year, and if contenders can get them for 50% off this year and next, that's worth first-round picks in either 27 or 28. Picks in 27 and 28 are more likely to be used to acquire established players instead of being used on a draft day, so that's where KD should be stocking the draft capital, stock capital cupboard to support all the recent draft picks. First of all, Brian, thank you for being a first-time commenter, and love your comment. You and Swoop should sit down and hammer this out because you guys have competing arguments, but they're both really good. I also get what you're saying there as well. We have those assets. Why not trade them to look further on down the line? But I do like the idea. Christ, if we can get in the playoffs, if we can get in the wild card hunt and actually play, why not? Why not give Bedard and Nazar and these other young up-and-comers that chance, right? So I get what you're saying, though. It's very prudent. I don't know. I'm gonna have to think about that, guys. What does the rest of the crowd think? Are we making trades, or are we trying to make a playoff push just to get the experience? It's a really intriguing question. Thank you, Brian. I really appreciate that. Fubar Totali, 3389, repeat offender, said, ignore the draft position, play the guys who've earned the right, which actually has been what Blashill's been saying. So excellent point. And sell, but not just for the sake of selling. Take a deal if it makes sense to open up a spot. That's exactly what I expect Davidson to do. He doesn't need any advice from me. Thank you, Fubar. Great points. Great points as usual. Spencer Hawk, 9742. Hey, PJ, our Twin Towers are doing great. Should be paired into the future. Regarding upcoming game against the Hurricanes, who will show up? The Hawks team almost defeated Colorado 0-1 and beat Dallas twice. Or will they be the team who was embarrassed by Sid the Kid and the Penguins? He says Carolina 4-3, which is probably a more realistic assessment than mine, because I'm always going to say the Hawks are going to win. Keep Dickinson, trade Murphy. Oh, see, Spencer goes right down the middle. Thank you, Spencer. Really appreciate it, as always. And Skip Johnson, 7255, says, sell for more talent. All right, there you go. Personally, I think we got a crap ton of talent in the farm system, but you can't argue, if we get actually more great talent, well, then the sell will look like a great move, right? So thank you, Skip. Really appreciate that. That's a wrap for today, Blackhawks Nation. If you're new, welcome. Hit that subscribe button. Please help us get over 1,000. We're climbing, though. We're climbing, guys. If you're a regular, thank you so much for the support. Thank you for being a part of this. It's an absolute honor building this community with you. So as we always do, we celebrate the very best team in hockey with the very best fans in all of sports. That's you guys, in the greatest city this world has ever known. So I'm PJ. We'll see you next time on the Blackhawks Daily.